What's going on, everybody? My name's Nick, and in the next 45 to 60 minutes, I'm going to give you a complete guide to software as a service. I'm currently involved in a few different SaaS businesses right now. Most of you guys have heard of Writify AI, which is a student AI essay writer with several hundred active paying subscribers. I also have another big project that I've been working on. I haven't announced publicly yet, but that's coming soon. Now, I am qualified to teach you about SaaS because I've not only done it successfully, but I've done it unsuccessfully. I know how to get a software company off the ground, and in the next 60 minutes, I'll give you all of the tools and knowledge to build your own successful SaaS business and scale up to $50,000 a month in MRR. Pretty much this entire course is already pre-written. I wanted to make sure I gave you the absolute best possible content I could. So that's why if you ever see me looking back and forth between two screens or there's a cut in the video, you know why. I'm either removing something boring, I just want to keep the flow of everything. It should be good. Here's the reality. SaaS is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not easy, it's very cutthroat, and more people now than ever are getting involved in software. It will require a lot of time, effort, learning, and capital, but if you're willing to put in the work, you will succeed. So with that, thank you for taking the first step in creating a successful SaaS business, and by the end of this, you should have all of the knowledge and tools to get started. All right, everybody, here we go. First part. So there's really 4 sections that we're gonna cover. Idea generation, idea validation, product MVP building, marketing, and then finally an exit strategy. So let's get started. Now, when you build a SaaS business, oh, by the way, I have 2 monitors here. I mentioned before that it's all pre-written. I wanted to make sure that I give you guys the best content. So if you see me reading off the screen, it's just notes, and then I'll go off tangents. Tangents are usually a good thing, though. I spill a lot of good knowledge. So there really is one goal when starting a software company, and that is to scale quickly and ultimately sell. So let me put something in perspective. Most companies sell between 5 and 8 times EBITDA, which is earnings before appreciation, interest, tax, and amortization. Basically just means like what's left over at the end of the day. Kind of profit, kind of not profit, but software companies are selling between 10 and 25 times EBITDA. So almost 2 to 3 times more than normal businesses would sell for. So with that logic, if you have 1,000 people paying $15 per month with a 70% net profit margin, so around $10 profit per user, that's $10,000 per month, $120,000 per year in profit, that company is worth $1 million. Now, there's a few different factors that play into that, but yes, that is correct. 1,000 people paying $15 per month can make you $1 million, depending on a few other factors. But even if you get $500,000, that's still a lot of money for 1,000 users. But you get the idea. So the biggest benefit of SaaS versus FBA or e-commerce is that there is no inventory. There's virtually no risk besides your upfront investment and your cost to acquire a customer. We're pretty much all familiar with the benefits of SaaS. That's probably why you're watching this video, but I want to clarify that. As I mentioned, the goal is to scale quickly and sell quickly, not rush a launch. You want to make sure that you're constantly testing, getting user feedback, iterating, and ultimately growing your user base. Get a pen and paper for the rest of this video. I'm going to spill a lot of different knowledge, and we're going to go over a bunch of different sections here. Now, I was originally going to talk about a bunch of different terms for SaaS, MRR, ARR, churn rate, but I'm going to skip all the boring stuff and get right into idea generation. So my platform, Writify, is a business-to-consumer business, which means I only sell directly to students, in this case, or consumers. Now, I will repeat this over the length of the course, but you want to build a B2B or a business-to-business software, and there's multiple reasons for that. In order for me to make $8,000 in monthly recurring revenue, I have to get 1,000 users, right? 1,000 students to pay $8 per month on Writify to make $8,000 in MRR, or monthly recurring revenue. If I were to have a business-to-business software, I could charge one client $8,000 per month, or 8 clients $1,000 per month. So what's easier, 8 clients at $1,000 per month, or 1,000 clients at $8 per month? This is why business-to-business is so much better to get into, because you can charge more, you can spend more to acquire a customer, and ultimately generate a lot more money quicker. And businesses just generally have more capital to play with. So I would always recommend getting into B2B. Now, this course is not strictly for B2B SaaS. If you're business to consumer and you already have an idea, it'll all make sense, and we're going to drop a lot of game on marketing and everything, but just keep that in the back of your mind if you're looking to start. All right, so let's go over idea generation. If you don't already have an idea, there's 2 options here. Number 1, you can partner with somebody who has an idea, or option number 2, you can come up with your own. So If you want to find a partner with an idea, I'd recommend Y-Combinator's co-founder matching. You guys can do a little bit more research on this. It's basically like Tinder for software startups. So you can find somebody else with an idea, find somebody else without an idea. There's a lot of people on here from all different backgrounds. So I'd always recommend that to find a partner. Now, if you're coming up with your own idea, there's 3 tactics that I have here. So, and by the way, I hate this chair I'm sitting in. It's so terrible. Now, option number 1, take a piece of paper and write down everything you have experience in. Okay, I'm talking sports, social media, marketing, a specific job or field, video games, school, everything that you have life experience in or you're passionate about, whatever it may be. Even your job. So say you're a waiter or waitress at a restaurant. Now, I want you to write down 2 to 5 problems in each one of those areas that you have experience in. It doesn't have to necessarily be some grand issue. It could just be something that you notice. Let's say you're a baseball player. There's constant miscommunication with the baseball coach. If you're a waiter or waitress, you find that your restaurant owners constantly mismanage carryout orders or reservations. These are all little problems that could require or could use software to solve. It's funny because I've watched a few seminars on these different tech startups and billion-dollar tech startups, multi-$100 million tech startups, and pretty much all of them say something similar, that billion-dollar idea was always right in front of their face. So just be kind of attentive, right, in just everyday life. That's usually where all the really big ideas come from. Now, the second strategy we have here is pretty widely known, and that's to use ChatGPT. Now, instead of just asking ChatGPT, generate me 5 software as a service ideas, be a little bit more specific. So here I said, generate me 5 SaaS ideas that implement AI for the restaurant industry. And it gave me pretty good ones. So like here, smart reservations, seating management, AI-driven customer interaction platform. This may not give you your multi-$100 million idea, but it'll definitely get your gears spinning in your head, which is what we want, right? Now, the third strategy, and the one that I would always recommend, is to take an existing idea or existing business, change 1 or 2 or 3 things, or curate it towards a different audience, and then make it your own. So one of the biggest examples that I can give you is Dropbox. Most of us are familiar with Dropbox. It's a file sharing platform that works off a subscription model. Now, Dropbox, is one of the most famous tech startups in the world. So during the time when they were first starting, there was other file sharing platforms, but they didn't allow you to upload multiple files at the same time. So the Dropbox founders said, well, this sucks, especially for businesses that rely on uploading multiple files at one time. So all they added was a feature where you could hold control, click multiple files, and upload them all at the same time. And $1 billion company was born. That's all they did. They tweaked one thing. Now, in order to find businesses out there to not copy, but replicate a little bit in a different way, or get inspiration from, we'll say, I would definitely look at TikTok. I would look at Twitter, because usually these companies are promoting on social media. And especially if you say, hey, I want to get into a specific industry, say that's restaurants, then you should look up new tech in restaurants or new software companies dealing with the restaurant industry, stuff like that, right? So I just want to mention that every great tech company was not the first of its kind. Google, not the first search engine. Stripe, not the first payment processor. Facebook, not the first social media platform. Usually these people all took one good idea, tweaked 1 or 2 things, and made it great. And at the end of the day, it's going to be really difficult for me to just give you an idea. You're going to have to brainstorm that on your own. But once you do have that idea, the rest of this course will make a lot of sense and help you build it. So that's it for idea generation. Building off of idea generation, I want to talk about what's possible with SaaS. So most people ask me all the time, what can I build? Does it just have to be a ChatGPT interface or integrate OpenAI's API? And the answer is no. While that's the popular option, that's not all you're limited to. So I want to introduce something that most of us are familiar with, and that's an API, or an application programming interface. Now, without getting super technical, it's basically just something, a translator, we'll say, a cord that connects 2 platforms. So, for example, say you wanted to create a lead generation tool that used Google Maps, okay, to scrape all the businesses in a specific area. Google Maps offers an API. Now, it's not free. No APIs are free. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Some are. Even ChatGPT, OpenAI's API is not free. It costs, fractional cents to use, but it's always good to keep in mind later on, especially when you're budgeting these things, because if one user is using a lot of data, then it can rack up over time. But all an API is, when a company offers that, is you're able to connect their data and their platform to yours. So in the case of that lead generation example, you can connect Google Maps API to your site or your software and scrape data from a specific area on Google Maps. Now, some of the popular APIs out there, Skyscanner, you can use that for flight information. Yelp has one. You can only imagine what you could do with that. There's a million companies that offer APIs, and you can use them to build pretty much anything. Now, the more APIs that you integrate, obviously the higher cost that your platform is going to be. And the good thing about Bubble, they make it pretty simple to integrate APIs if you're going no code, which I'd always recommend to start. But again, you can pretty much build whatever you have in your head, whatever idea it is, as long as you do it properly and you have everything spelled out, then sky's pretty much the limit. Okay, this next section's a little bit all over the place, but it's very important information, and I want to talk about market research and validating your idea. So you want to identify a legitimate problem, right? And most people don't do this. Most people try to tackle problems that the tech startup space calls tar pit problems. Now, we're all familiar with what tar is. It's used in buildings and gluing and I don't know what else, but basically a tar pit is this nasty field of tar, and animals get mistaken for thinking it's water. They go in the tar pit, they end up dying, and the scent of that carcass attracts other animals that go in there and then die, and it's just this cycle of death. And while that is a pretty morbid example, this is what most people try to solve in the tech world. And when one company fails and another company thinks they can do it, and all of a sudden it's this big tar pit of death and wasted money. So you want to identify a legitimate problem. So how do we know a problem is legit or not? Well, I want to give you guys a quick example or a quick story about a company called AtoB, AtoB. So it's a trucking credit card company. They offer a few other features like payroll, but basically these two founders or three founders spent 2 years traveling with truckers to see what their pain points were with everyday work. The founders originally knew the trucking industry was super mundane, not really touched by outside industries like tech, so they knew they wanted to be in trucking. And their original idea was completely different than what it ended up turning out to be. But they found that after 2 years of spending time with truckers, getting into every single aspect of the business, learning the business of trucking, that there was a huge problem, two huge problems. Truckers couldn't easily pay for gas, and they couldn't collect payroll easily. And they built a $1 billion business. I'm not sure if they sold or it's just valued at $1.2 billion. I think they sold. Don't quote me on that number exactly, but it's around $1 billion, okay? Oh, he's off by 200 million, big deal. But AtoB, you don't have to be that hardcore, right? If you identify a problem with an industry, like say, again, you're a restaurant, you're a waiter or waitress, and you're in a restaurant, and you find that they're constantly mismanaging reservations, you don't have to spend 2 years getting to know the entire business, right? That's a pretty simple problem that you could test and then probably build something right away and solve. But I just want to give you guys an example of a really popular company and just how extensive the market research was that went into it. So the next part, this is a really good idea for validating your company. And this is called a pre-MVP. I'm not even sure if this is a proper term, but I created it. So pre-MVP. We're all familiar with an MVP. It's a minimum viable product, right? It's just a bare bones working version of your product. But this is a pre-MVP. This is before the MVP. This can be something as simple as a Google slideshow, a FIGMA file, or a flow chart. So if you're not familiar with FIGMA, please load. Here we go. If you're not familiar with FIGMA, all it is allows you to build UI UX designs. That's user interface, user experience. So you can pretty much customize anything you want. You can put different diagrams, different colors, different text, whatever you want. This is just a basic template. This is what a flow chart looks like. So somebody opens the app, logs in, yes, media feed, right? This is all the different stuff. you just want to get feedback. You want to present your Google slideshow or your idea on paper, something with visuals, shapes, whatever. You want to present that to whoever your target customer is. This will save you a lot of time, especially for the restaurant example. I love that example, by the way. You can present this to a manager or the owner, say, hey, you guys have this problem, this is my idea to solve it. And we're gonna get into later about partnering with people and how you can already pre-sell your software. Listen, at the end of the day, you won't truly know if your idea works until you go out and build that MVP and test it. Get users, get feedback, and ultimately see if it's something that resonates and you reach what we call product market fit. We're gonna go into product market fit later as well. But that's your goal, product market fit. Now, again, if we can knock off a bad idea with a pre-MVP, that's best case scenario because you don't spend $1,000 or $2,000 or $10,000, however involved your project is, before we actually go and get our software built. This section is very important, so do not skip over it, especially for later when we get into the marketing section. So if you have a pen or paper, write stuff down or just take a mental note. Defining your target customer. What problem is your SaaS solving? Or more specifically, who is using your software? I started a SaaS business called Writeify AI, and my target customer was college and high school students looking to write essays. Yes, I rehearsed that part. The more specific you can get with who is using your software, the higher chance of success you will have. What I mean is, would you rather build an AI blog writer or a CRM for TikTok advertising agencies? At the surface, the blog writer seems like the better option because of the wider customer base. But in reality, the TikTok CRM is the better option because it's niche down and you can charge more because it's B2B. And it actually solves a real problem, which is managing relations for TikTok agencies. Do not make the mistake most people make and say that your target customer is everybody, or it's everybody in a specific area, right? Be more specific. I'll give you two good examples that aren't software companies but are really interesting. So when Gatorade first started, who do you think their target customer was? Gatorade. Was it athletes? Was it parents? Was it students? Who did Gatorade target? The answer is the top 1% of athletes that needed that extra hydration boost. That's pretty easy. Makes sense. But a similar question, their big competitor, Body Armor, who do you think their target customer was when they first started? The answer is moms. Body Armor's entire marketing strategy was to go after mothers because they knew that mothers predominantly shopped at grocery stores and bought Gatorade for their families and their kids. They went after mothers and said, this is a healthier Gatorade, sugar's bad for you, the whole 9 yards that we're familiar with. And they ended up building a multi-billion-dollar company and selling. That guy's a beast, by the way. You should look up his story, the Body Armor founder. Be specific and take your time on who your target customer is and where they are, right? Because ultimately your marketing is going to come down to where your target customer is and trying to grab attention, but we're going to get into that again later. I keep saying that, but we will. Even if your product is eventually for everybody, you can always scale into that. You have to be really specific because you don't have Gatorade's $50 million a year marketing budget. So, well, at least not yet until you go through rounds of funding and you're Mark Zuckerberg. But be specific with who your target customer is. I was very hesitant to make this section here, but I thought I would mention it because it's really important. And that's white labeling software. So if you're not familiar with what white labeling is, all it is taking somebody else's product, sticking your label and your logo on it, and then selling it as your own. The way that you can do this with software, I have an entire video separate on white labeling software and a bunch of different companies that allow you to do so. But the advantages to this is that it's lower cost to entry and the concept's already proven. So if you go to a company like Go High Level that allows you to white label a CRM, in that case, they've already proven the concept. The CRM already works. People already make tons of money doing it. So you don't have to go through the whole idea validation, build an MVP, build UI UX designs, test, iterate. That's pretty much taken out of the equation. Now there is usually a cost with getting started, but it's minimal compared to starting your own software company. Again, I have a video on white labeling if you're interested, but I thought I would mention it here. All right, this is exciting. We're getting to the blue section. We don't have that many slides to go, guys. By the way, I don't know if I said this, I hate this chair that I'm sitting in, but yeah, we got quite a bit to go. A lot of knowledge here. I actually took a lot of time making this, so I hope you're watching the entire thing. This is all about product development. So developing your SaaS product. So far, you should have your target market, target customer, your SaaS product plan. Now is time to plan your product roadmap. So what does that mean? This is budgeting costs, expenses, pretty much everything that's going to go into your software. You have to spell out in detail, take a notebook, piece of paper. This is everything that my platform does. This is the archetype of the customer that I'm going after. This is the problem that I'm solving. You don't have to worry about marketing yet, just the product. Now, you want to have an exact plan on what your SaaS will cost and other expenses associated with it. For example, if you are using ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo versus 4.0, there is an exponential increase in price. 750 words or tokens, which is 1,000 words, on ChatGPT 3.5 is like 0.3 of a cent versus like 6 cents in 4.0. And it doesn't seem like that big of a deal now, but if users are generating tens of thousands of tokens per per session, then your cost is going to be exponentially different, and it's going to be a lot more expensive. You're going to have to charge more per user. It could be the difference between you making and losing money. Now, if you're going to use ChatGPT, go on OpenAI Playground, look at all the different prices. They offer a bunch of different things on there as well. You can just do this in a spreadsheet for now. You don't need an accounting software. You don't need anything crazy like that. I will mention a company called LivePlan. I'm not even going to look them up. You guys can look them up. Liveplan.io, I think it is, or just look up LivePlan. It'll be the first one. They allow you to come up with pro forma statements, plan your expenses, all these different things, and then you can actually integrate with that with QuickBooks, and that's a pretty good tool that I would look into using. There is a monthly fee for that, but it's relatively cheap depending on what you're doing. So whatever that final cost is that you come out with, multiply it by 1.5 or 2, because there's going to be a lot of things that you don't foresee now that you will in the future. I will say beware of domain names, custom contact information, which is like Google Suite if you're going to use Google Suite. What other hidden expenses that I not know about? Make sure you budget for marketing, and don't say your customer acquisition cost is $5. Okay, be realistic. What are you actually going to budget for marketing? And yeah, at the end of the day, just make sure you have kind of a nest egg. You'd rather be off on the high side than off on the low side. All right, let's build it. Well, sort of. So an MVP, minimum viable product. This is probably one of the most important sections on here. I say every section is important. They are, but this one reigns. An MVP is your best friend. I will say it 1,000,000 times the rest of this course. An MVP is your best friend. So now there really are 2 directions you can go in when building an MVP, and that is you can build the UI UX designs on Figma or build the absolute bare bones working version of your product, which is a prototype. So if you're going to build the UI UX designs, which is what I would recommend that you do, then you're going to want to start by listing everything that you want in your MVP and what the customer journey looks like. Because UI UX, as I mentioned, is the complete journey or snapshot of every screen involved in your software. What your dashboard looks like, what your billing page looks like, the entire customer journey. And yes, it is very worth it to spend money on this, because when you bring it to a developer, it's a lot easier for them to build what you actually are looking for. Now, when pricing UI UX designs, designers usually either charge hourly or by page. You can find people on UpWork for as little as $3 an hour. I'm going to show you in the next section how to actually find a UI UX designer and somebody that I would probably work with. We're just going to go through UpWork and look. I always look for somebody with highly ranked reviews that has the skills that I'm looking for. You can do this on Figma on your own, but I don't recommend it because I don't know how to use Figma. I don't even want to learn how to use Figma. It's a lot easier to pay somebody $3 an hour overseas. You can use a developer from a different country in this part, but that's the only time that I would actually do that. Now, the second option, if you don't want to do UI UX, is build a working prototype. Okay, this is functional app, the core part of your app, without payments, without a billing page. Users can't sign up, they can't log in. It's basically just the first core working version of your product that people are able to test out. This is a very good option if you're building something more advanced, like a lead generation tool, or in the case of like Writify, instead of having a billing page, signups, bunch of different tools, I would just have ChatGPT connected to my program for a AI essay generator, right? That's all it would be. Do not skip this step, because when you go to a developer and you type everything out online, or maybe you have a call with them and you're showing them different examples, what you communicate and what you type is so much different than what their brain is thinking, right? You both have the same set of eyes, so if they can visually see what you want, that's a lot easier. Now, there's something I forgot to mention in the last parts that is pretty important, but your MVP doesn't have to be working, okay? That's all I want to describe. Your MVP can literally just be Figma designs that you present to your target customer, or it can just be the prototype like we discussed. It doesn't have to collect payments. It doesn't have to do any of that. Now, when you build your actual first version working, when you build the first working version of your product, that's when you're going to take your prototype or your UI UX designs, which I'm considering your MVP, to a US developer, which will build them on Bubble. So here's the steps here. Most people consider the first working version your MVP. I completely disagree. I think that's the first working version of your product. That is not a minimum viable product. That's a product, right? You can acquire customers. An MVP shouldn't be the first working version. So I want to make that 100% clear. Now, when getting UI UX designs built, go on UpWork, search UI UX, okay? We don't want US, and we want to go probably under $20, we'll look. Look for somebody with over a 90% job success rate and has some earnings. So come on. So $15 an hour, it's not even worth it. We'll find somebody for cheap. $8 an hour I would go with. Doesn't have the 90% job success rate, so we're gonna continue on. Again, you can use somebody that's $20 an hour and just say, hey, listen, can I get $10 a page or $8 a page? Never accept the first price. Usually they charge somebody, it's like, here, rehire. I've used this guy before. Just look for somebody under 20 bucks. Don't make it super complicated. Ask for previous work. And at the end of the day, if you're paying $8 or $10 a design and they're building you 100 designs or 50 designs, it is well worth it, because you're saving a lot of money with a developer, right? So if you get UI UX designs done for $300 to $500 and you have 50 pages or 20 pages, whatever it may be, the size of your application, instead of going to a developer just trying to free ball it, describe what you want, and then you're spending thousands and it's wasted because you have to change stuff and they didn't know about this part and it's not what you want. So definitely worth it. This is somebody I would 1000% work with right here. $12 an hour, $30,000 earned, 99% job success rate. This guy too. This is what I'm looking for. These are the people right here, guys. So hopefully that helps with finding a UI UX design developer. Now, these are the slides that I skipped over right here. It's nothing big. No code platform. You can use Bubble or Softer.io. Both are good. Use Bubble. That's what I recommend. All right. Time to build your main application. This is the first working version of your product that you can collect payments, get users, market this, get feedback. It's the first working version, which is exciting. Now, once you have the UI UX designs or a prototype, whatever you chose, the user journey, all of the functionality, it's now time to take that to a developer. So, caution here, use a US-based developer, okay? I say that with experience. I've had 3 different SaaS projects, and I have gotten burned on 2 of them pretty badly, and burned in time and money. I'm not gonna go into detail, but pay the extra dollars and make sure that the project gets done correctly. So there really are 3 options here to get your idea built. And those are, number 1, you hire a freelancer off of UpWork. Number 2, you hire an agency off of Bubble. And number 3, you partner with a developer co-founder. I showed you Y-Combinator earlier. You can find a co-founder with technical skills and give them away equity. I will really only be talking about option 1 and 2 because I just kind of went over number 3, and that's not something that I would want to do. But again, whatever floats your boat. This is your project, so I'm just putting it out there. Just typically know that a co-founder is around 20% minimum, okay, if you're partnering with a developer. Most are going to want 50. So option 1, when hiring a freelancer developer, which is what I would recommend depending on the size of your project, you want to look for somebody that is a full stack developer. Your project involves any AI implementation with ChatGPT's API, make sure your developer has that experience or has worked on a project with that. Now, you're going to be building your app on a no-code platform, Bubble, and you'll want a developer with either Bubble or softer skills, depending which one you go for. So look for a freelancer that has Bubble, IO, AI, full stack experience on their resume. I wrote this earlier. It's a lot of good information, but I repeat myself over and over. Sorry. Do not hire the freelancer right away, okay? Message them first, obviously. Ask for some previous work. Maybe get a consultation call. See the resume. Do your due diligence to make sure they're the right person, okay? If your project requires pulling Google Maps data or Skyscanner, make sure they're able to do that and they have experience with that, and it won't be a problem. Because most people will say right away, yes, I can do this project, but they don't really know what it entails until you get into it. And then they say, oh, I ran out of money, there's not enough time, I'd already dedicated too many hours, the whole 9 yards, and the nightmares of working with developers. That's why you want to go US based. The good thing about UpWork is that when you pay somebody $2,000, they don't receive the $2,000 right away. It's in escrow, whatever. If you guys don't know what that is, it's beautiful. Means your money doesn't go into their pocket until they complete your job correctly. So we have a little bit of protection here, insurance, right? Option number 2 is an agency. So Bubble offers agencies. Let's go to their agencies really quick. They offer agencies that you can work with right here. And these are usually going to be really expensive options because they're agencies, right? But if you're building something like a marketplace or a really, really, really labor intensive, there's a million of these, by the way. There's only a few here, but like they have hundreds and hundreds of agencies when you look at agency plans and stuff. I would go with an agency if you're building something big like a marketplace or something that involves multiple hundreds of pages, because they do have experience working on projects like this. So, I mean, if you're building something simple, always go the freelancer route. But here's the problem with an agency. I'm going to give you some nightmare stories. The project deadline is 6 weeks. You pay them $10,000 for the application. The agency then outsources the entire application to a different country, and the original plan isn't going according to plan, and they come back to you around 5 weeks in and say it will be 3 more weeks. You, of course, say, well, that's fine. That's only 2 more weeks than my 6, right? They're coming to me a week early before the deadline. They're on top of their stuff, whatever. They then come back at week 8 and say they have burned through all the money and you have a half-finished product. I won't continue with this story, but you understand, you just got burned badly. And this is a story that repeats itself over and over again that I've read, seen, heard about firsthand, and have experienced. Agencies do suck, in my opinion, but if you are building a huge project that requires $50,000 of funding, yes, use an agency. If you have to build a custom API, probably use an agency. Doesn't have to be a Bubble agency either. You can go find one on Upwork, right? Or just Google. But agencies are for huge projects. If your project is small, go freelancer, okay? And by small, I mean, you know what you need to do. Freelancer all day. UI UX designs, freelancer, MVP to the freelancer. They'll get your project done, especially if you choose the right developer. And we're gonna go into how to choose the right developer. Now, most of you in my Discord DM me all day asking about how to find a developer and what developer I used for Writify. I'm gonna show you how to find the right developer. So, once you're on the Upwork, you're gonna look up Bubble Developer. Now, there's a few key things I look for. Number 1, click this box, boom. You're already one step in the right direction. Number 2, you want to find somebody with over a 92% success rate that has over $20,000 earned, okay? This right here, I would work with. $120 an hour. Again, they put these flat rate fees, but that's not always what your project's gonna cost. So in the case of Writify, the guy's not gonna charge me $120 an hour. We're gonna agree on a flat rate price, especially because it's bubble, it's no code. Again, top rated, I don't really look at this, but you can. $30 an hour, 100% job success rate, doesn't have their earnings displayed, but that's fine. I would reach out to this person. The worst thing that you can do is reach out to somebody, get a bad vibe, and not work with them. Message a bunch of people. I think you get 5 free messages per day or something on Upwork. Like, message a bunch of people, ask for their resumes, ask for previous work, hop on a call with them. If they're gonna charge you $30 or $60 for a 30-minute call, don't do that, okay? It's not worth it. But you wanna make sure that you can kind of feel out the person and really see if that's somebody that you wanna work with. Because at the end of the day, you don't wanna choose the wrong developer and then have to pay for it later on. But this section's really quick. I know the last one was long. All right, this next section's about branding. Now, in the last part, I know it was whatever, I kind of missed this slide. These are just some of the skills that you want to look for. I think I already mentioned that, but it's whatever. Yeah, whatever. Okay, branding. Now you hear people say branding is your logo, your colors, your theme, your fonts, whatever. All branding is associating things we know with things we don't know. For example, the designer brand Louis Vuitton. Most of us are familiar with Louis Vuitton, but we don't know who Louis Vuitton is, right? We can assume he's some Italian designer guy, but we don't know who he is, but we know what expensive is. We know what luxury is. We know what high-end is. We know what all these different things are that we associate with Louis Vuitton, and that makes their brand, right? When it comes to branding your SaaS business, it comes down to a few different things, and that's logo, design, color, theme, and font, okay? Someone may bring up factors that go into branding, but you will learn most of that as you go. I can't tell you how to brand your company. That's for you to decide. That's true. That is for you to decide. What shapes are you using? What logo are you using? Writify does not have the best branding. It doesn't. Is it a clean design? Yes. Did I put the most minimum required effort into building it? I did. Did it work? Yes. Right? Well, not as big as I thought it could be, but it's relatively successful. Now, getting a logo design is super simple. You can either go on Fiverr and just have some freelancer do it, or go on Canva. Again, this is all semantics. It doesn't really matter that much, because at the end of the day, if your software is good, it'll sell itself. If you need colors, actually, color theme is kind of important, because if you're using like purple, green, and orange, don't do that, okay? Don't do that. Just make a clean design. Don't go crazy. Simple. Simple's always better. I hate talking about branding, but it's I guess mildly important. So I will say that I've checked out a few of your guys' different websites and landing pages in the Discord server, and some of you do that. You have purple, green, and orange designs, which I don't understand. Just keep it simple. Simple's always better. If you guys want any of my opinions or any help or anything, I think I mentioned this in the beginning, but shoot me a message or comment or whatever, I'll be sure to respond. Now this is something important, probably the most important part, is your landing page. And no, this is not branding. Branding sucks, okay? This is landing page. Landing page is important. So I didn't know this when I first started, but I'd probably recommend that you build on Wix or WordPress. Anyways, I didn't know this when you first started, that when you have a domain name, like say it's, for example, trywritify.com, that goes to a Wix hosted landing page and website, okay? That's where all my SEO is done. That's where all my articles are in the back end. All the metadata, it's all on Wix in that trywritify.com host. You then have to create a subdomain for Bubble, and that's super easy to do. Look up a tutorial. I'm not showing you how to do that. You look up how to make a subdomain, and you can do app dot whatever your domain name is, or you can do test or platform or whatever you want, but it's a subdomain to your main domain. I didn't know this in the beginning, so I was really confused when talking to a developer, but while the actual application is hosted on Bubble with that subdomain. The main application is hosted on Wix under your main domain, or your primary domain. So for example, when you're on Writify, see it says trywritify.com, okay? You click sign up or log in. Let's click log in. See how it brings you to app.trywritify.com? This is now Bubble. This is hosted on Bubble, okay? So you just completely left Wix. I thought I would mention that because it's super important. And yeah, now as far as actually building your landing page, just do something simple. I'm not saying I have the best design here, but it keeps a pretty consistent theme and is clean, right? It has to just look kind of professional, but simple is always better. Iterate, just kidding. Funding, self versus external funding. I don't really want to speak on funding your SaaS business because I'm not a financial advisor. I don't pretend to be. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a lawyer. But you need capital. You need dough. You need the change, the coin, right? You need coin. You guys know where that's from. Kudos to you. But you need coin, all right? You can't get into SaaS without making a relatively substantial investment. And whether that investment comes externally or self-funded, whatever. You just need money, okay? If you're giving away equity, it's not a bad thing. It's really not to raise money. Think about it as the more equity that you give away, the higher chance of success you have. Because if you're giving away 20% to somebody and they're giving you $50,000, and then you can get 20% else to somebody else for $50,000, that increases your chance of success by a lot, right? So make sure you have a solid plan. Make sure you have everything spelled out in that product roadmap that we discussed, and you'll be fine. This part was recommended to me by somebody in the Discord. I hate this chair that I'm sitting in, whatever. I am not a lawyer or accountant, disclaimer. So always talk to a lawyer or accountant when making decisions. But you need to incorporate because you need a business bank account, all right? Do not run all this through your personal one. Sure, you can in the beginning, but switch over to a business bank account as fast as possible. If you don't know how to do that, look it up. It's super simple. Okay, I've done it 3 times now. Go to LegalZoom. Okay, this is the easiest way to do this, by the way. Go to LegalZoom. Make sure to incorporate your legal entity. They make it super easy to do this. It's a lot cheaper than using a lawyer, a lot cheaper. Now, once you get your paperwork and you register the entity in whatever state you choose, you take those legal documents to a bank and then you can open a bank account, okay? Yes, you have to physically go to the bank. Actually, you might be able to do it online. Don't quote me on that. Do be wary though that if you, and this is something important I will mention, do be wary that if you are opening a business bank account, okay, and receiving payments from Stripe, the payment processor, you have to file sales tax in that state that you incorporate in, all right? I did not know this originally, but school doesn't really teach this either, so you kind of have to learn this stuff as you go. But there are penalties if you don't file sales tax or submit your yearly taxes, and these can get really, really hefty depending on your state. But even if you don't collect revenue, this is important. If you don't collect revenue, you still have to file $0, always, okay? And do your due diligence here. I am not liable if you miss something. I said before, always talk to a lawyer or accountant if necessary, but do your due diligence here. Make sure everything is in line. Now the next part here we have is data protection and privacy. Again, always talk to a lawyer or accountant, not me. But I'm just giving you what I know. Termly.io. Always make sure that when somebody signs up, they have to select, this is sign in. When somebody signs up, they have to select an agreement, okay? Right here, terms of service and privacy policy. Make sure you have those. Use Termly.io. It's so easy. I think you can create a free document as well. They make it so simple. You go through easy prompts. They generate all the paperwork. You throw that in there. You tell your developer that you need that when signing up. Just make sure you have that, okay? That's really important, especially if you have people from California. You can get in serious trouble for that. Do not skip these steps. They're very important to the success of your startup. They are important. Again, if you have questions on this, you can ask me, but I am not a lawyer or accountant. Disclaimer number 7. Do your due diligence. Finally, taxes and accounting. You don't need an accounting firm to keep good records. You can use QuickBooks. If you use that live plan software like I mentioned earlier, that integrates with QuickBooks, it's really up to you, but make sure that you keep good records, or at least somewhat good records of what's coming in and money coming out, because nobody wants to buy a business with bad books, and that's reality. So always talk to a lawyer or accountant. Disclaimer number 8 now, but that's all the legal stuff that I wanted to talk about because somebody mentioned in the Discord. I thought I would include that. If you guys can't tell, I've really warmed up to this whole thing by now, but this is arguably the most important part in this entire video. What everybody wants to know: how do you sell? How do you market, right? I'm going to teach you my strategy, how I did it. So marketing is the most difficult part of any business, right? For example, you could have the best AI tool out there, but if nobody knows about it, you don't make money, you don't sell, right? So this is the question. How do you grab the most attention? Because at the end of the day, we're in an attention economy. Attention is gold. If you can grab a ton of attention, then you can sell. But how do we grab the most attention? Well, depending on who your target customer archetype is, you go where they are and you make a lot of noise. So for example, if your target customer, I don't know whose business this is, but if your target customer is students ages 16 to 22, college and high school, looking to write essays, I would be advertising on TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. You start with posting organic content on these platforms, and you should be posting 80 pieces of content per week. And if any of the videos gain the slightest bit of traction, you run Spark ads on them. What do I mean? I will say this now, remember this for the rest of your online making money life. Organic ads are for testing. Paid is for scaling what your organic ads already do. Paid ads are for scaling what your organic ads already do. Look at General Motors, look at Ford, look at any big company that has these huge campaigns. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars making creatives, making videos, and then millions of dollars putting them out there. How do they know that ad works? And you're gonna go, well, testing. They don't test them. That's their test. See, if these companies instead put these all out for free and then saw if they gained traction or the feedback was really good, and then you can justify spending millions of dollars promoting it. You have to take a similar approach. Do not make one piece of content, run $50 Spark ads on it, and then expect to gain a bunch of users. That's not how this works. It's not that simple. You have to think more longer term. I'm telling you right now, people underestimate how much content they really have to post to grab attention, especially now. Everybody is a content creator. Everybody's posting content all the time. Your competitors are posting 40 pieces of content a week. You know how you overtake them? You post more. 80 pieces of content a week is what I recommend. If you're really, really, really ballsy and you really want to do this 100%, 120 pieces of content a week, minimum. That means per channel. So if you have one video and you're posting it 4 different places, that's 4 pieces of content. So you need 80 a week or 120 a week, depending on how much grit you have, I guess. And then again, if any of the videos gain traction, you run Spark ads on them. Besides that, SEO is your best friend. Search engine optimization. I haven't been posting much on Writify, on TikTok, or any other social media platform recently, and it's still gaining 20 to 50 users per day, not paid organic. Most of them are paid. 20 to 50 users per day from Google and from TikTok. Just search engine optimization. The videos that are out there are still getting some views, and so many people are clicking on the site looking up different keywords. I'm gonna get a little bit more into SEO in a second here, and I'm gonna give you guys some absolute game that should be worth thousands of dollars, but it's fine, because I'm gonna give you guys everything. But the influencer route's always an option. You can always help like the student help space, or find a Facebook group or Discord server willing to partner with you. If you find it worth it, give a percentage of your company to an influencer if they can market. Say your job is running operations, their job is marketing. It's a really good dynamic duo. And defining your unique value proposition basically means, what are 1 to 3 things that you're offering? What are those key 1 to 3 things? What solutions are you offering to people's problems? Why would somebody use your platform? Again, Your business does one of three things. You either save time, save money, or you make money. That's the only three ways that you sell anything. All right, let's talk about price. What should you price your software company at? So you want to be working off a subscription model. That's just where everything is going. 75% of all companies now have some form of subscription service, which is important because they realize that it works. Subscription companies get higher multiples when they sell. Now, the reason I stress working with a business is that you can charge a lot more than working with a consumer. If you can spend more to acquire a customer, you will win in the long term. And your business is also higher valued. So think about if you can charge a business $2,000 per month for your product versus a consumer $20 per month. You have to acquire 100 more customers instead of just one business. What's easier? Yes. What's easier? That's for you to decide. It's really hard for me to tell you exactly what to price your business at because I don't know what it is. Again, you can always shoot me a message in Discord. But at the end of the day, you should minimally be charging for a business to consumer platform $30. The reason I say 30, ads are getting so expensive now. This is $30 per month, by the way. Ads are getting so expensive now on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, everything. Actually, Twitter's kind of the hidden gem right now. But it's getting so expensive to acquire a customer that you have to give yourself room to acquire that customer. And of course, you can be like Shopify and spend thousands of dollars acquiring a customer because they know their customers stay for life, but you don't have that kind of metric in the beginning. So you have to give yourself some room. This is why I love business to business, because if you know that you can charge $2,000 and your margin is 90%, you can acquire that business for $1,800, right? I mean, it's absurd. So just keep that in mind when starting, and also how to price your business. But $30 minimum B2C. I know I broke that with the $8, but I'm not spending money on ads. How do we build a sales funnel? A sales funnel is a pretty simple concept that most people like to make super complicated. It's basically, how does the user get from point A to point buying your product and throwing you their credit card? So all you do is you start where your customer is and you try to get as many clicks and funnels to your website or your service as possible. This can be a few different things. So say, for example, you have a TikTok CRM. Okay, for TikTok agencies, it's a customer relations management software for TikTok agencies. And you make content on YouTube free and Instagram and TikTok and everywhere else. You make all these free ads and free videos on tips for TikTok agencies, using your TikTok CRM, all this different stuff. That's the top of the funnel. People click, they like, they follow, they whatever. Then you have to funnel them either to a free newsletter or some sort of, it doesn't have to be free, it could just be direct to your website. But if you can funnel them to a newsletter or funnel them to, it could be direct to your site, it could be to an article, it could be to whatever you want. You just need to get them off of whatever that top of the funnel is and then put them into your customer base. Because if you can give out a free 6-day challenge or a free TikTok CRM trial, or maybe you funnel them to some sort of PDF document that they have to give you their email for, you then build a list of potential clients, and then you can, solicit them for your service. If you're B2B, cold emails, cold calls, SEO will always be your best friend. Google ads, right? Click ads, keywords, and paid traffic. That's what I would focus on. Obviously, keep the organic stuff as well, but this is where my main focus would be. If you're B2C, your business to consumer, I hate this chair. SEO is so important. Organic traffic, tons of content, 120 pieces a week, 80 pieces a week, somewhere in between there. Influencer marketing is super key as well. Grab attention. At the end of the day, grab attention. Sales funnels don't have to be that difficult. You don't have to use ClickFunnels. You don't have to do anything like that. You don't have to buy a book. Super simple. How do we grab attention? How do we test ads? See if they work. Build and scale off of those. This is all about testing and iterating. Your entire platform is getting feedback and testing and iterating. I want to talk about SEO. This is your best friend. So I'm gonna spill some game worth thousands of dollars right here, so prepare yourself. All Google is an index. Okay, it's like a file cabinet of all this information everybody puts on there. How does it sift through it? How does it know that when you look up AI essay writer, Writify should come up versus Cramly or whoever else is on there, right? Google then has robots that sift through all the information and rank it based on words. Not images or videos, but words. This is where you guys hear the word metadata from. You put metadata into videos and images. That way it can know what those are. That's why metadata is important. But if you don't know a lot about SEO, don't worry. I'm going to tell you what I do, but I recommend doing some research here. If you build your landing page on Wix, which I recommend, they make it really easy to optimize your website. You can also build very good looking landing pages on Wix, as it's super customizable. This all goes into SEO. But here's your goal with SEO. This is the $1,000 game here. You want to reach something called topical authority. You can do your own research further if you're interested in this, which I would be, but it's basically when you have everything about a topic and related topics on your website. So for example, say you have a website about lifting. You want to have articles on weight loss, nutrition, proper exercises, everything that goes into lifting, and then everything about those topics. So if you write an article on protein powder, you want to write an article on what's in protein powder, all the different elements of protein powder. Topical authority, you start with a topical map. Topical maps are just all these keywords, and then it builds off and branches into a bunch of other keywords. You could end up writing 2,000 or 3,000 articles doing this. With AI, that's not a problem. And there's actually some apps out there where you can integrate them and they automatically generate articles and post for you. But topical authority can get you hundreds of thousands of monthly visitors for free. SEO is the biggest sales channel with Writify. Again, I have absolutely no ads ran. I have not posted pretty much anything in months, and I still gain, not months, but I still gain 20 to 50 users a day, just organically through Google search. You can actually go on my website. Here, I'll show you guys. Go on my website. You go down here to showcase. I have some blogs as well, but this is SEO content. This is what this is for. So we go to math, and there's a method behind all the madness here. But you see all these different articles on math. We have combinatorics, whatever that is. Again, I didn't write any of these. I used AI for them all on my website. I didn't include the citations, but you guys get the point. It's super powerful topical authority. I would do research on it. It can make you a lot of money. Now, this is not a marketing course, but I will just clarify. Paid ads are for scaling what you're already doing organically. Test and then boost the ads. I already gave you guys an example earlier of Ford and GM. This is not a marketing course. Again, I feel like I've already spilled too much game, but that's fine. I want to give you as much information as possible. All right, let's talk about customer success and retention. So you want to have a very good connection with your first 20 users. If you're going B2B or business to business like I recommend that you do, then you want to make sure you are constantly asking about that business's experience with your product and ask them to recommend any changes and or additions. This not only looks good on your end, but will also help you improve your platform, right? And then gain more customers over time. When somebody cancels their subscription, send an email or have some sort of pop-up that offers a free month for their loyalty to your platform, or another month at 50% off, or all these. You want to make it difficult to cancel, okay? Something gyms used to do a long time ago was, if you wanted to cancel your gym membership, you would just call and cancel. And then a bunch of gyms made some rules about how you can't cancel over the phone because of whatever made up excuse. So you had to go in there and actually do it. Well, because you had to actually go in there and cancel, a lot of people just decided, screw it, I'll keep my membership. It's $20 a month, $15 a month, $10 a month, whatever it may be. I'll just keep it. I'll probably go next week or next month. And they never do. Take a similar approach here. You want to offer people incentives, or you just want to make it difficult for them to cancel because you want to keep that customer. You want them to say, hey, you know, I'm paying $30 per month. I'll probably end up using this again. It's not even worth my time to cancel. That's what you want. Planet Fitness is a billion-dollar business built off of people that don't actually use their facilities. It's crazy. This is really easy to do in Bubble. And again, this requires planning and working with your developer. And this is all the things that you don't foresee in the beginning, right? That I'm helping you out with here. But there's going to be other stuff like this that you don't know about or don't think about until after you put your product out there. And that's perfectly fine because you want to iterate, you want to change stuff, and you want to relaunch all the time. All right, here's my controversial take on product market fit. Not really controversial. What is product market fit? You can look up this guy, his name is Michael Siebel. I probably botched that name. He's one of the Twitch founders. He's actually the CEO of Y-Combinator. He has a really good definition for what product market fit is, but I'm gonna give you my definition. Money is stacking up so fast in your bank account that you can't spend enough dollars on marketing and you can't hire enough people fast enough. Every dollar that comes in goes right back out to scaling. That's product market fit. That's when you know your product works. When you wake up and you look and you gain another 50, 60 users or 2, 3 businesses overnight and you're like, what the heck? That's when you know it works. That could take you a month, that could take you a year, that could take you 10 years. It all depends. And you may start down one avenue and then completely switch and go to a different one. But once you hit product market fit, how do you scale? Well, scaling is relatively the easiest part. And this is why everybody on YouTube likes to talk about scaling your SaaS business because that's the easy part, right? And this is a little bit controversial, but you should be paying yourself as soon as you're able to. What I mean by that is if your SaaS brings in $10,000 a month, you should minimally pay yourself probably $2,000 per month, $1,500 per month. You're gonna get demotivated if you don't. This is again a controversial part, but something that I would recommend that you do. The 70-30 split. 70% of dollars go to marketing, 30% goes to updating the platform. You can do 80-20, you can do 60-40. It all depends on where you start and what type of platform you have, but you wanna make sure that you're updating the platform. You're adding more features, right? Because at the end of the day, the platform's gonna have to sell itself, and the users that sign up, you wanna keep them for a long time. So, is it easier to acquire more customers, or is it easier to just charge your current customers more because you provide more value? Something to think about. But yeah, scaling is the easiest part. It's pretty simple. I want to mention the 70-30 split, and keep in mind that you should consciously pay yourself eventually. Now, all of our goals is to eventually exit our SaaS business, but how do we go about doing that? So there's a lot to unpack here, but I want to mention that exiting a SaaS will either be the happiest or saddest point in your life. Now, valuing a SaaS business comes with a few different details, but I will provide a link to a business calculator so you can get an idea for what factors go into valuing a company. Sure, I'll put that in the description. This calculator will be off because tech is so hot, but it's a good reference. Like anything else, a business is only worth what somebody will pay for it. But with tech being so hot, people are getting super high multiples. Now, to set up an effective exit strategy, you want to have a final goal with your software company. Is it a certain dollar amount in monthly recurring revenue, a user count that you will reach, and then you will list your SaaS business on the market? This is all for you to decide. Now, for example, if your SaaS business is a B2B product, say it's a CRM, and your goal is 50 users, when you get to 45 users, you should be pretty much packaging everything to be able to sell it. With that said, do not take your foot off the gas. People, I see this all the time, it may take a month, it may take a year, it may take 5 years to sell your SaaS business. You never know. But if somebody goes to buy your business at 45 users and you have really strong growth, 45 businesses paying $2,000 per month, you're rolling in cash, right? Looks good on books, looks good on paper, everything looks great. But you have 45 users, person puts an offer in, you accept it, going back and forth legally, and then all of a sudden, you take your foot off the gas. Business starts to decline. 42 users, businesses, 40 businesses, 39 businesses. That offer is going to be pulled out right away. They're done. They're not buying that business because you're killing it. It's not worth what they originally wanted to pay for it. Do not lose motivation once your company is listed. Biggest piece of advice there. If you get to this point, congratulations. You have beat 95% of all tech startups in the world. 97% of all tech startups in the world. Congratulations. Actually, we're going to talk about this. Right now. When it comes to selling your SaaS business, there are several ways to actually list it. You can either go through a broker or acquire.com, or you can actually buy an existing SaaS business. But these are two good options here. I will mention that if you use a broker and say they want 3% of the sale, if you sign a document with them, there's usually fine print that if you don't end up working with them and you go to a different broker, they still get that 3% of your business. So you work with broker A. They list your business, it doesn't sell. You fire them and go to broker B. Broker B sells your business. You still owe broker A 3% and broker B 3% or 4%, whatever you guys agree on. Biggest scam ever, so be wary of that. But again, if you get to this point, you've got strong legal representation, you're rolling, you're DMing me on Discord with a testimonial, love it. End of the course, don't click off the video. I'm gonna give you my concluding remarks. The truth is, SaaS is hard. It's a hard business. Marketing's hard, making money online is hard. If anybody tells you it's easy, it's because they're selling you something, okay? It's easy if you know somebody or know something that a lot of people don't. You will only fail if you give up. That's key in point, right? Make sure you don't skip any steps and actually follow through on everything you say you will do. Don't get lazy, don't get demotivated. You are competing against people that all they do is think about their business. All they do when they go to sleep till the time they wake up is their business. They are dedicated. They're posting 200 pieces of content a week. This is the game. With that said, you have to work hard. And if you change your time horizon to 1 year, you give yourself 6 months to 1 year, and you say, all I'm going to do every day, post content, work on my business, network, sell, SEO, and you create a real plan, where will you be in a year? Will you have 10 users? Will you have 20 users? Will you have 50 users? You only fail if you give up. Thank you for watching this entire video. Subscribe to the channel. I have a lot of cool content coming out that's not just about software, but just business in general. I have a Discord link in the description. If you don't want to ask your question in the comments, just shoot me a DM on there. I pretty much always respond pretty quickly. SaaS is a long-term game. Make sure you plan for it. And if you fail the first time, try again. Change it. Iterate. Good luck.